What's going on, everybody? This is TAETRO, and today we're going to be taking a look at my sample pack creation process, from collecting the sounds to processing them, all the way to actually making some music with them. Today's video is going to be sponsored by Tascam, who provided me with the DR40X that we're going to be using to collect all the samples today. Recently traveled back to my hometown, and this little secluded beach was a perfect place to collect some samples for the new pack that's called Shore. I want to try to find a diverse set of samples and stuff that's very distinct to the environment. So water lapping on the shore, finding little rocks to do little incidental noises, and capturing some of the bird sounds or the crickets. Even something like this, just walking through the leaves, the crunching, I have it in mind for different snare sounds. Now, what sounds you can make in the environment is just as important as sounds that are naturally occurring in the environment too. Basically, I'm just recording really long files onto the DR40X of all these different types of sounds, and later on you'll see how we go through all those files and try to actually find the nuggets of gold within them. Sounds and soundscapes and field recordings can kind of be like photographs, and they can kind of remind you of a different time, they can transport you to a different place. It's that concept that really got me into field recording and creating samples and sample packs and all that. The sound of these crickets, for instance, I moved to a big city and don't hear crickets that often at all, so it was actually pretty jarring hearing how loud the sound and the ambience of the crickets were back in my more secluded suburban hometown. Capturing that wide stereo field here with the DR40X. And once I've collected all of these samples, I'm able to bring them back to my home studio and start working with them. And I do that by just dragging them all into Ableton Live's session view and start looking for those key points within each sample, adding warp markers, figuring out what I want to work with. And sometimes you find sample material in some unexpected places. This, for instance, is the sound of a car in the distance, but mixed with the sounds of some crickets, the sound of the air out on the beach. I start to tweak the sound a little bit, and eventually we get a really nice pad sound. I've put the sample now into simpler, and what you'll hear on this sample is there's some crackles from like stepping on the leaves, there's some crickets. It almost gives a sort of vinyl sensibility to it. From there, what I do is I like to record different chords, single notes, major chords, minor chords, so that in the pack you have a variety of samples to choose from a single sound. And all of these get included in the pack. And I even tend to find some rhythmic samples too, and some loops, which you probably saw me playing, with sticks on the picnic table. But going out and finding these sounds is only half the fun. The other half is bringing them back and seeing what you can make with them. And speaking of making something with them, I'm going to make a beat now using all the samples from the Shore sample pack. Everything right here is from the pack, original samples that you can get yourself. So take a listen and let me know what you think. Alright, take a minute and let me know in a comment what you thought of all the sounds you heard, what you thought of that beat, and check out the Shore sample pack because you can get all the sounds you just heard and more and make beats just like the one that I just made. I talked about before field recordings being like photographs, capturing moments in time. And when you make sample packs or when you make your own sounds using those field recordings, it's kind of has the DNA of that place and that time that you were in throughout all the music you make with those samples. And I think that's a really kind of special way of making music. Thanks again to Tascam for sponsoring this video. If you want to go out and do your own field recordings, I could not recommend enough the DR40X. It also functions as an audio interface. It's got XLR inputs. It's a pretty good on-the-go audio interface and field recorder. So link to that is in the description. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the new sample pack. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.